Hello, friends, and welcome to the New Story with Rebecca Conran podcast. This is a podcast where I discuss all things holistic. Today on the agenda, we're talking about Jupiter in Leo, which is a 14-month transit that we're going to be experiencing as a collective. But I'm a trauma-informed holistic life coach, energy healer, and astrologer. And so you'll get tidbits of all kinds of information when you tune into this podcast. Okay, so Jupiter is finally leaving its 1.5-year journey through Cancer and entering the realm of Leo on June the 30th of 2026. And this is really an exuberant energy. This is a very happy place for Jupiter to be. Jupiter's natural domicile is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is trine Leo. So it's very much a cohesive energy being in Leo. It's being in a fire sign where Jupiter is most happy, where it can kind of set spirit in motion. This is drama, though. This is big feelings. This is performance. It's pleasure and it's fun as well. But it's also pride before the fall sometimes. So we've got to be mindful that Jupiter is lucky, Jupiter is abundant, and sometimes it can really overdo things. So we have to find that nice, happy balance for us individually. Jupiter, as I said, it expands, it opens us up to meaning and philosophy on life. And in Leo, our self-expression, pleasure, playfulness, and creativity, that's got to be part of our life philosophy. So we've all heard a little child during play and performance go, look at me, look at me. And this is part of our inherent nature. It's not just an irritating thing little kids do. Maybe we feel irritated when they do it because it's actually part of our needs as humans, and we might feel certain ways around that. But we need to be witnessed by others. There is an inherent need in us to be witnessed. We can do that in many ways. It doesn't have to be that we're singers and dancers. However, the need to be seen is part of our human makeup. And Jupiter in Leo is going to expand that need within us. It's going to expose where we don't feel seen, heard, or connected to authentic expression too. And then the medicine will be to create channels where we can be seen. One factor that will be up for healing that other people might not be talking about with Jupiter in Leo is neglect. So many people suffer with this silent trauma, and they call it silent trauma because nothing happened to the child. So they weren't beaten or screamed at, but that was exactly what was wrong. Nothing happened. No one was there for this child. No one was witnessing, seeing, hearing, making a child feel like a real living person with valuable emotions and ideas. So instead, the neglected child goes through life never quite knowing why they're people-pleasing or have an extreme need for any attention, good or bad. And neglected people often allow themselves to be hated too, because any kind of connection feels more alive than nothing at all. So you could find a neglected child in an abusive relationship, in sort of garnering experiences where they will feel seen, even if it's in a negative way. Jupiter is here to bring luck to your neglect via the Leo energy. This is your time to bring that child in the shadows out onto center stage. Give it the attention it needs from you, the deep love and compassion and playfulness and wisdom of your life experience now, bringing that neglected child into a place of healing. This is just such an important year for that. Issues around guilt are sure to manifest with Jupiter in Leo, as our society wrongly places the majority of its positive feelings on productivity and usefulness, not accessing your childlike wonder. But being silly is useful. Laughing, singing in the car, coloring instead of watching TV, acting in a play instead of just watching one. These are important facets for us, and they're important facets of healing. Additionally, we need real pleasure in our lives, not just gratification. Gratification is that booty call that has shame pour in the next day. But pleasure is the smell of the sea, the feel of the warm sun, the hug of a friend, the taste of a juicy apple. That is pleasure. So we want to really be cultivating pleasure and not gratification. Gratification might be, drinking 3 glasses of wine at the end of the day, but then you've got a hangover the next day. So it's important to find ways to access pleasure. We definitely need that without stepping too far into gratification, where it then has a reverse effect on us, where we feel bad, for experiencing our pleasure. We want to be experiencing pleasure in things that don't cultivate shameful feelings for us. One of the biggest positive attributes that can be learned through this period is also the courage to love and be vulnerable, because that's Leo's very heart-centered sign. So it's about the courage to open your heart. And with Jupiter in Cancer, we were accessing more of the hurts that caused defensiveness in us, and maybe hopefully expanding through that, opening ourselves through the defensiveness. And now with Jupiter in Leo, we can choose a philosophy of love and open-heartedness, regardless of our painful experiences. Is it easy? Nah, absolutely not. But this energy is here to help us kind of have that extra oomph in moving forward on it. In our social media and online obsessed cultures, we will definitely see an expansion around attention seeking with Jupiter in Leo, because that's the disassociated response, is to get more of that. We want attention, we need attention, but what kind of attention are we pursuing? That's important. And it's important to know that when I say that we want attention and we need attention, yeah, we do, but is it a desperate plea? I need attention. Or is it because, yes, you're a human being, you deserve to be witnessed and seen? Additionally, are we paying attention? What kind of attention spans are we working with? So, not only do we have this greater need for attention, and sometimes moving into a toxic need for attention that we need to sort of be aware of, we're also seeing that our culture is being pushed into attention deficit by this incredible influx of just inane information coming in at us all the time. Everything is disconnecting us from our body. Everything is pushing us more and more into the intellect, cognitive ability. And so, to access our true authenticity and abundance during this time, we need to be grounded. We need to really be able to connect with our emotions in a flowing way. If we remain in an anesthetized or disassociated state, we won't be able to cultivate attention to what is the right thing for us. We want to be paying attention to what is the right sensory experience for us, and we just can't do that if we are unable to pay attention. So we combat that through groundedness, through breath work, through connection with nature, through sitting in silence and simpleness, and through moving through the discomfort that arises when we do so. So how do you know if you're getting this Jupiter in Leo transit right? Well, you feel a bit exposed. You find yourself wearing your heart on your sleeve or putting yourself out there. You find yourself sharing your true self, and that feels scary or at least uncomfortable. So embrace the fear and move through it anyway. Know that something authentic's happening if it's a little bit scary. In Leo, we are pursuing a sunny, friendly, fun, and spontaneous relationship with life. And this is a social Jupiter. So let ourselves take the spotlight, let others take the spotlight too, applaud other people's wins, be a great cheerleader, and artists in particular need audience participation, and everybody does to some degree. Everybody should be seen and listened to and have real presence from people in their lives. But a musician, a painter, an actor needs audience participation. It's part of creating for others to witness what you've made. Not everybody will be a fan, but anyone could be moved. So, as I said, applaud your friends, your loved ones, anyone you feel proud of or appreciate. Post a comment on someone's artwork or reach out to the musician you love and say thank you. Remember to be a witness to your fellow man, especially if that's something you're trying to cultivate for yourself. Ask yourself, am I seeing and hearing others as I wish to be seen and heard? So as Jupiter expands what it touches, look to where Leo falls in your birth chart, any planets and aspects it makes for you. I've made a little list of some of the shadow aspects to be mindful of. Of course, there's many positives that we've already discussed. But these are the things to really be looking for in ourselves as what we're healing. One being negative attention seeking, so where our self-confidence hinges on others' approval. They're never going to give us the approval that we really want. That's the huge lesson from that. Negative attention seeking always leads to a lessened sense of self-worth. So if we can notice where we're doing it, and then we can go, we can give ourselves the attention that we deserve, and create some space there between other people's approval and approving us of ourselves, we can start to sort of heal that. Spending and living beyond your means. So that's a negative part of this energy. Leo feels it's royalty, but you need to honor your beer budget, not your champagne tastes. And that's just practical advice, friend. Flash in the pan love affairs. So sex will be on the rise during this time. And if you're in the business of exploring relationships and sexuality, that's great. It's a great time to have fun with the process. However, Leo is really looking for a long-term partner to be proud of. So you can save yourself from a lot of bullshit if you stick to your values right now when it comes to dating, and don't lower your standards for people that you may feel any red flag energy from. And that doesn't make them bad or toxic people. It just makes them not the right fit for you. So be paying attention to what's not the right fit for you. Because even though it's a very sexy, flirty time, it is at its core about finding a long-term partner to be proud of. So acknowledge that and stay true to yourself. Another negative trait coming out will be drama and gossip addiction. Our culture has just normalized human bullshit to a very tall extent through rabid production of reality TV, prioritizing and editing to them to heighten our emotional and chemical reactions. They really show all the fights, they show all the gossip, all the drama, and we love it. But it's a horrible way to live. We have to actively disconnect from where we've become addicted to the chemical reactions that come from drama and gossip. It's just another drug that they've got us on. Compassionate, loving people can have fun and banter, and they can rise from conflict too. I know that there's a little bit of like ribbing with friends and in your, however that works in our friend groups, and there's conflict as well. But we don't need to get toxic about it, and we certainly don't need to make toxic connection our entertainment. We need to really understand that there's an addictive component to that, and if we're finding that there's a lot of drama and gossip in our lives, we need to really understand, okay, am I the problem here? Is this me? Finally, excessive pride and arrogance is something to look for. Donald Trump has some planets in Leo. I can't remember which ones. Well, you know what? Let me have a look. Let's have a look at Donald fucking Trump's birth chart. Oh, yuck. What does he have in Leo? He's got something very big in Leo, I feel like. Oh, yeah. Mars in Leo, rising Leo. So we know that there's a way that you can move through life that is really fucking megalomaniac, arrogant, and awful. We should be self-confident, but the supremacist supremacist ideation, the superiority complex. It's just not a good look. So these things are things that are going to expand and possibly have to deal with the negative side of excessive, pride and arrogance. We might have a fall, pride before the fall, and so keeping ourselves in check is going to be really important. So going back to what we talked about at the beginning of this episode, dealing with our silent trauma, dealing with neglect, letting ourselves be seen and creative, that life is not just all about productivity. It is about play. Play is spiritual. Play is useful. Play is a practical part. It really connects us back into being present. The most present that you can get is to get on the floor and play with a child. I mean, that'll sort of suck you right into the present moment. And maybe that will be your access point. Maybe there's a child in your life that you can sort of learn how to play and explore and sort of let go, and especially witness and be witnessed during this time. This is a time to be seen and heard, not because we're the best but because we all deserve to be seen and heard. Maybe you are the best at something, maybe you are an incredible singer or whatever, but it's not really about that. It's about sharing and being allowed to be seen, sometimes in your most vulnerable, but your most authentic too. All right, friends, that is the Jupiter and Leo podcast. And I look forward to speaking to you about the July energy report coming up soon. I've also got an episode on women who drum with an incredible woman, Ruth Semple, who leads drum circles that I've been to, and really just wonderful experiences in nature and great ways to connect with your body. And I look forward to connecting with you one-on-one too. So if you're interested in some healing work for yourself, check out my website, www.rebeccaconran.com. Things in my practice are shifting. I am shifting my practice, and I'm actually starting a new practice, which is cult recovery and spiritual abuse recovery. And this came about because I've been writing my memoirs about being born in a cult and my experience of spiritual abuse, how it led me down the path of addiction, and lots of terrible experiences as well, not just addiction, but that was very much a paramount addiction to drugs and alcohol. And then obviously refinding my spiritual purpose and self, and it being a very individual, personal thing for me. I never want people to think that there is some sort of hardened set of beliefs that you need to follow in order to be a spiritual person. It's such a private relationship that you're cultivating, and that is evolving and growing too. So my practice will be shifting gears, and more to come on that. That will probably be at the end of the summer. I'll be launching that, maybe sooner, but right now I'm sort of going to be in my own little transitional phase. So sending you all lots of love in your transitional phases, and I hope that the Jupiter and Leo fairies really work their magic over your lives. Lots of love. Bye-bye.